If you want to grab our men's lifestyle supplement and male advantage ebook, all links are in the bio. Hello guys, and welcome back to another video. In this video we're going to be talking about Thanos and how more men need to be like Thanos. Now I'm not talking muscle band, purple guy, okay? I'm talking about how more men need to kind of have a purpose, stick to it no matter what, have this kind of giant will to like see it through regardless. And the reason I'm making this video is I was telling stories of what I've been through to get to where I am today and what I'm willing to sacrifice to get where I want to head. And somebody said, it's crazy, man. They're like, you're kind of like Thanos, that you're willing to give up everything for this one thing. Like, you won't let anything get in the way. They said it's very admirable. And it got me thinking at that time, and I was going to do a body language analysis video on Thanos. His body language is exceptional. But I was reading the book, The Hero's Journey, and kind of came up with the concept of like the villain's journey, which I think is actually more accurate. And this video is going to have like a Jordan Peterson vibe to it, okay, where, remember the Peter Pan video he did where he's like talking about kind of like somebody's journey and he makes it very profound. They're beautiful stories, okay, they're like campfire things. I love hearing him talk about these kind of stories. And I think it's very similar to the way that he described how men need to be monsters, okay? So I think he was talking about in one video that people always say that men need to be emotional and caring and whatever, and he said it's completely wrong. Like, instead of being a nice guy, like most guys men need to be monsters and then they need to learn how to control it. That was the message that he gave out. I'm completely on board with that, okay? And it kind of fits my narrative of the villain's journey and how Thanos did it. Because to us, the audience, Thanos is the villain. To Thanos himself, he sees himself as a hero, but he knows he's an anti-hero. He understands that he's going to make enemies along the way. And that's one thing I've learned, okay, whilst being in business or having a purpose, trying to get to the top in any area of life, okay? When you try and get to the top, one thing that you will make along the way is enemies, because I've always said if you've got too many friends, it means you don't stand for anything because you're too agreeable. If too many people like you, there's something wrong, okay? Because you're not putting your views out there. And we see that very much with Thanos, okay? So I think he has that conversation with Doctor Strange. We'll look at some clips later, okay? It'll be easier to break things down, explain them kind of like I do with the body language videos. But when Doctor Strange says, you know, it was an overpopulation problem, and Doctor Strange says, oh, genocide, and then Thanos says, but random. You know, he's always trying to justify his means, his purpose. So everyone else is thinking from the emotional point of view, oh, you can't kill all these people, you know, and obviously this is a hyperbole of a situation that you'll be in. You won't have to do something like this. But everybody kind of looks at it from the emotional point of view. The person who seems to be the winner, who makes it in life, who gets to the top, sees everything from a logical, heartless point of view. And don't get me wrong, they're not completely cold. Like, they understand what's going on. They understand the sacrifices that they're making, how much it's going to hurt them and those around them. But they do it anyway. And that's so commendable. Like, that's why Thanos works so well as a character. And not enough people are doing that. Like, I've told you guys multiple times before how I gave up an excellent relationship, and a long-term 3-year relationship that was perfect. There was nothing wrong with it. And I gave it up so that I could have more time to spend on my business and the gym. And more money, of course. You know, there's so many things you do as a couple. I gave up my dog. I gave up my life in London so that I could lower my bills. I'll eventually go back, but so that I could lower my bills. I looked after my dad for like 7 months when he had terminal cancer, you know, and kind of sacrificed my entire social life and just kind of focused on me. I've not drank alcohol for a year. You know, I've given up pretty much everything. When I finished my fitness journey, I felt like fucking crying. You know, so many people who have been through a fitness journey will understand that. Just the emotional build-up of not being able to eat anything nice and no alcohol, and just every morning in the rain, just walking down to that gym and just lifting the fucking heaviest shit you could find. Like, it's draining, it weighs on you, but you don't let it show. You just keep turning up every single day, and it's that whole monster and then learn to control it kind of dynamic. And I was willing to give up absolutely everything, and I still am. Like, I've given up my entire teens and 20s, or at least from 18 onwards. I've given up good relationships. I've sold cars in order to fund business ideas, and then I've had to walk everywhere. I've given up the opportunity to get a mortgage. I've given up the opportunity to get married, to have kids. You know, all these things. I've given that up multiple times. And it's funny because, like I said, this turns you into a villain. That's the problem. It turns you into a villain. Like, I made a video recently, and I think I was talking about not having kids. They'll ruin your life. It's not what the media wants to hear. It's not what YouTube wants to hear. It's shadow ban worthy. It's not what the general public wants to hear. Shut up, Chris. Kids are great. You know, you're an idiot. Like, I'm going to get all of those comments, and I'm willing to take them because I'm talking about a narrative that nobody else wants to hear. You know, if I tell people don't get a mortgage, it's a waste of time. A mortgage is a glorified loan, and I've got way more other things as to why I would never get a mortgage. And then I say, stay away from women, never get married, don't have kids. For some people, this is their entire existence. Like, I'm basically questioning their entire life goals and purposes and saying it's a waste of time, it's stupid, you're an idiot if you go down that route. Very much like Thanos, you disagree with him, you know, you're trash to him, okay? And that's how driven he is with his purpose. And I've got my own individual message, and people don't understand I'm trying to help. Like, in my opinion, I'm the hero. I understand that I might be an anti-hero because what I say is quite divisive, but in a lot of other people's eyes, maybe like 80% of the population, they see me as the villain. And I'm not trying to sit here trying to pretend I'm Thanos, you know, and, you know, have my moment in the sun, you know, in my garden at the end. I'm just saying, like, this will be everybody's journey. So instead of most male journeys, instead of it being the hero's journey, it will be the villain's journey. It's just, this is where you'll end up. Like, you'll try and become successful and your parents will be pissed off at you because you're not getting married. You'll dump a woman or, you know, sleep with a woman and then not want to see her again because you don't want to get too distracted from your business purpose. And everyone thinks you're a villain. You might accidentally have a kid with a woman, you two are not together anymore, and instead of seeing that kid 5 days a week, you only see that kid 1 day a week, and everybody's like, oh, he's a terrible dad, never sees his kid. You become the villain. But what they don't see is behind the scenes, you're working hard to make more money so that that kid can have a better life so it won't suffer. You know, you're an anti-hero, but people don't see it that way. It reminds me of that Rick Ross song. Well, originally it was Biggie Smalls, but, you know, the Rick Ross song with French Montana, when French Montana says something about trying to say, I might play the song, it might be easier, but it might get copyrighted, but Mum is trying to save me. She doesn't know I'm trying to save her, and, like, kind of nobody understands that. And that happens a lot in life when people sort of think that they're helping you. They sort of think that they're guiding you down the right path. And because you go against it, you go against their narrative, you become that villain. And it's very hard because you've got to be relenting. You've got to be absolutely, it's just like Michael Jordan, that book, Relentless. You know, that's kind of the mentality you've got to have. You know, everybody else is getting married, smiles on their faces, they're having children, etc. You want to seriously make it, you're going to have to sacrifice all of that. And this is what people think. They think that people like me who want to go to the top are heartless. We're not. We just understand. Like, I would love all that. I would love, like, a beautiful woman, kids, etc. I just understand that's not the way to do it. I understand what that is going to do negatively to my life. My friends probably wish they'd see me more. I understand what that would do to my life, okay? I'm sure my mum wants me to get married and have grandchildren. You know, now that my dad's dead, whatever, it'd be lovely for her. I'm not going to do that because I understand the negative impact on my life. You've got to be willing, basically what I'm saying is to upset everybody in favor of your purpose. You have this giant purpose and then you're like, I really want to be successful. I really want to make it in life. And then your friends call and you're like, yeah, but I get messages all the time when people are like, I want to be successful, Chris, but I also want to have a social life. Not going to work. It's just not going to work. You're not all in. Like Conor McGregor once said, you've got to be a little bit gone in the head. You've got to be a little bit tapped to your craft. And that's, like, Thanos is a sociopath, okay? It's fucking, like, the amount of words you can use to describe that guy, he's a psychopath. That's what he is. He's crazy. He's a narcissist. He's all these things. But guess what? He gets the fucking job done. And that is why the villain's journey is so much more important for a man. Like you see yourself as the anti-hero because you see yourself as the hero, but you identify as the anti-hero because you understand how divisive your kind of way of life and the normal narrative doesn't fit what you're trying to achieve, but everyone else sees you as the villain, and you get that. Okay, I get that. Anybody who's trying to accomplish anything big gets that. You look at people in sports, like I just watched an interview with Conor McGregor. He's had to leave his family at home because he's like, when I brought them to the last fight against Dustin Poirier, he was like, I'm just trying to, like, I'm feeding them their bottles and everything. He was like, I'm being dad, I'm cuddling them, then I'm trying to go and fight. He's like, the two can't be done at once. I've got to leave them at home. And that happens with a lot of guys. Like, once they have family, once they have kids, once they have a missus, etc., and they've got that to worry about, things are never the same again. They don't make the same amount of money. They're not as dedicated to what they're doing. Yeah, they're decent. They're at a better point in their career by then or something. So it's a lot easier to have that momentum and push things forward. But it's very hard to get started and achieve what you want to achieve. And that is why most men are on the villain's journey, the Thanos type journey. You know, like I said, I'm going to show you these clips in a minute, but he's willing to give up so much, regardless of how much it hurts or how bad it makes him look, in order to finally fulfill his purpose. And there's a very profound scene with Peter Quill, Star-Lord, when he's aiming the gun at Gamora. This says so much about kind of Thanos' identity and what he stands for, you know. When he says, she's asked, hasn't she, and he pushes her closer to the gun, you know, he's kind of like, okay, look, you're going to have to go through with a similar act to what I would be willing to do. She's asked for it. This is, you know, what has to be done. This is the right thing to do, regardless of the pain it's going to cause you. You have to follow through with what what you promised to do. You know, it's nobility. It's pride in your actions. It's like I don't have YouTube ads on because I don't believe in it. You know, when people say, "Can I have an interview? Can I have 1 hour with you? I'll pay for your advice, one-to-one coaching." I'm like, that should be free. I shouldn't be charging you for that. I'll give that away for free. You know, charge for something more worthwhile. I don't need to charge you for that. And I'd feel bad if I ever did that. With my supplements, I didn't scrimp on one single thing. I'd feel terrible if I did. Like, people are cheating people out of things. It doesn't work. Okay, so you've got that kind of nobility side of it where you are a good person, but because you're not following the modern social norms, you know, of leave school, get a good job, find a woman, have kids, get married, you know, and move down that route and just be a good individual and always have time for everyone else and sacrifice your own dreams. Don't be selfish, you know. You follow that path, you're considered a hero, a good man, a great person. But you don't get anywhere. Like Jordan Peterson said, you got to be a monster, then learn how to control it. And I've always, like, you got different people like Dan Pena, you know, you got to be a cunt, whatever. And I've said before, you got to be a relentless cunt. Like this. It's the only way to really do it, but you've got to be... It's like YouTube comments. Like, I'll look at my comments after this video, and there might be one that says, you're great, thanks, you changed my life, and the next one would be like, you're way off on this, you're a prick, like, you have no understanding of life, like, my family's everything, you'll always be lonely, you know, you're going to get shit like that, and people can't see what you're trying to achieve until, like the Thanos journey, until it's too late. Like, he was on his planet Titan. He said, we got an overpopulation problem. We're going to do a random genocide. Okay. Probably, you know, he's thinking, oh, it's the best thing to do. Whether it is, I don't know. But that's his purpose. That's his idea. And they banish him. They kick him out. They banish him. And it's the same when you've got, like, any business. You're trying to, like, accomplish anything. You're trying to push forward. You've got this kind of journey that you're going on, which nobody will understand. That's one thing I used to moan about is, like, I'd have a problem with the business. It might be an IT problem and nobody I knew how to do it. And they never will, because you're going on this journey where nobody's been before. Like, you've got nobody to turn to. There's no roadmap. There's no guide. There's no blueprint. You want to be an accountant? Fuck, somebody's done it before. You want to be a lawyer? Somebody's done it before. There's law firms. There's accountancy firms already set up. You want to kind of start your own and go on this long-term purpose, or you want to be the youngest CEO of Barclays Bank ever? If it's never been done before, I mean, that's a lonely journey. That's a lonely journey. Like they say with the quote, if you want to go quickly, go alone. You know, if you want to go far, go together, which is more of like, yeah, family and employees and whatever, long term, that'll take you there. But if you want to get shit done, you're going to have to go alone. And when you go alone, you alienate people. You alienate yourself more specifically. And you go against the norms. You go against what everybody else wants you to do. And it's very hard. Like I said, it's very divisive. And you become, you're the hero on your journey. You know what you want to accomplish. Everybody else doesn't comprehend it. They don't see the vision until you've pulled it off. And as I was saying a minute ago, with the, him getting kicked off Titan for his goal, nobody understood what he was trying to accomplish. They saw him as the villain. Now that planet, in Endgame, or is Infinity War, now that planet is deceased, okay, the planet, everybody was hungry, they had an overpopulation issue. Now they all see his vision. Oh, okay, maybe he was right. Maybe he wasn't the villain. And that's what happens with success. Once you get to a certain point, everyone starts to see it. It starts to unfold. You buy your mum the car. You go and you finally meet a woman, whatever, you have that family, and everyone can see, oh, he's actually a good man. He's really changed. It's like, no, he's just, I wouldn't have been able to get to the heights that I wanted to get to without doing what I had to do. And to get to where I want to get, I had to sacrifice everything. Like I said, the sacrifices I made in my life. Like it's 11 p.m. on a Saturday and I'm doing hill sprints. And then the next day, 6 a.m., I'm down the gym doing deadlifts. And this is on a weekend, and during that same time frame, from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. in the morning, there's definitely somebody out there. There's definitely guys out there that are getting drunk, having sex with women, doing a line of coke. And everyone's like, oh, what a top man. He's always up for going out. Oh, he's amazing. Oh, I love this man. Some woman's all over him because he's relationship potential. All day Sundays, watching movies, watching Netflix. I'm working on my business. Who's she going to pick in the short term? Oh, the guy who's available, right? But then long term is where, like I said, with the Titan situation, where people turn around and go, oh shit, maybe he was right. And I get I made videos recently, haven't I, where I've kind of talked about when you get to 30, 40 years old and at 18 you thought these ages were old, suddenly it starts to reveal itself and you go, damn, that gap is just getting wider and wider. The gap between me and a lot of my friends right now is like that. It's got a lot bigger. Or people my age that I grew up with in Stroud, it's getting like that because I've sacrificed everything to do what I'm trying to do right now. But that gap only gets bigger and bigger. And by the time people realize that you've got to be selfish, you've got to have one driven purpose and sacrifice everything for it like I am and the way I promote, and people will give me shit in the comments, oh, you're delusional, do you know how deluded you sound? I get all this shit all the time. You're sexist, you're this, you're that. But then 10 years time, they'll look back and go, fuck, that guy was right. My life's in ruins. And it's very hard to convince people that you're the hero, you're trying to help them when they have such a clear picture of what a good person is and what a good life is and family values and have time for people. Don't be selfish. Don't be a cunt. It's very hard to convince people. And that's why I think men need to be more like Thanos. You need to be willing to take those hits, to take the shit off everybody, to go alone and be on your own journey and sacrifice absolutely everything. Are you willing to give up something good for something great? Because I've done that multiple times. I've had a car, a girlfriend, a dog, a nice house in London, great job, whatever, sacrificed all of it and lived in the mud, scrimped like crazy so that I could get to where I want to get because I know where I want to head. And yeah, it was comfortable. It's regular sex. It's nice. It's a nice environment, but you're like, I got to be real with myself. I got to be true with myself. This isn't who I actually want to be. If I want to go further, I know I'm going to have to take the hits, the short-term hits for the long-term gain. And you're going to get it from people around you. You're going to get it the family pressures. You should get married. You should get married. You should get married. A lot of Asian families will say this. All families, to be honest, but a lot of Asian guys have this conversation with me in the comments on YouTube. You might have to be willing to walk away and alienate yourself from the family. And everyone thinks you're a dick. But, long term, you get the life that you desire and maybe you can rekindle the relationships. Maybe you don't, but you end up fulfilling your purpose, the one that deep down was the right one to do. And that's what a lot of it is. Deep down, the truth. This is okay. This is my journey. This is my path. I can be in this relationship here and it's great, and it feels good, but it's not right. Something's missing. This isn't the real me. Everybody's been in that situation where they've been in a job for money and they're like, this isn't me. This isn't, in a relationship and they're acting different. And then they end the relationship and they get back to the old them and they're like, okay, yeah, I was off for a while. I stopped seeing my friends. I stopped seeing as a, obviously bad example with me saying, oh, you might have to sacrifice friends, etc. But I'm just trying to be relatable so that people can go, oh, okay, yeah, I've been in that situation. I know exactly what Chris is talking about. And that's kind of the villain's journey. And that's the journey you're going to have to be on. And I'm going to take you through a few clips now, guys. It will really click in. It will really make sense. But this is exactly why you need to be more like Thanos.
You promised. You promised.
No, daughter. You expect too much from him.
So he's challenging him here. He's saying, "Oh, you expect too much from him." Okay, he's trying to see if he's similar. Okay, he's trying to see if he's willing to give up everything for his greater purpose. Thanos would, and that's what he's testing.
She's asked, hasn't she?
And that's exactly why he got angry there, okay? He's like tilted his head to the side, frowned at him, lowered his voice, "She's asked, hasn't she?" and got quite aggressive about it. Like as to say, "What's the matter with you? Like I would have done it by now. Like why are you hesitating? Why are you putting love above your purpose? Why are you putting emotions and hurt above your purpose? Like this is what has to be done. Now man up and do it." And this, like I said, is very tough. It's very tough. Now, a lot of you won't be faced with this situation where you have to shoot somebody, but it might be, you know, you're in a relationship that's actually impacting your future success, and you know it's not what you want to do. You might have to give that up. Okay, you might be living in your dream city, and you're like, actually, it's very expensive here. I'm gonna have to give it up. Like Gary Vee always says, you know, a lot of people give him shit for that. If you're living in, you know, an expensive place in a nice house, give it up and go and rent in a shithole in the middle of nowhere. Like it is what it is. You might just have to give all of that up. And for somebody like Thanos, somebody like myself, somebody like Gary Vee, it's, you know, it's acceptable. It's like it's what has to be done. There's no limits to what we're trying to do. But some people cannot get past those barriers, and that's why they never make it.
Do it. Do it! I told you to go right.
I love you more than anything.
I love you too. I like him.
And obviously we get the end scene where he says, "I like you." That's his kind of, look at the little smirk, like that's kind of the approval. He's like, okay, he had the balls to do it. He's a man after my own heart, and that's it's commendable. Like I said, people, like men need to be more like Thanos, and then once they are like him, he has that respect. And that's one thing you'll get, is people at the top will respect you for what you've been willing to give up, what you've been willing to do, okay? Because the average person hasn't got the bollocks to pull that sort of shit off.
Oh, yeah. You're much more of a Thanos.
I take it the Maw's dead. This day extracts a heavy toll.
So it's a very extreme example, but he's just realised that his friend, his kind of right-hand man, has just died in the film. And he's come to that conclusion. He's just said this day extracts a heavy toll, and then he kind of gets on with his purpose, okay? And it's not, it doesn't mean like, don't get me wrong, guys, this probably isn't healthy to do for you lot in real life. I'm just saying it's an extreme example. But it doesn't mean that he's not emotional. It doesn't mean that it hasn't hurt him. He's just got a bigger purpose, and nothing can slow him down. Like he says, one of the lines he uses in the film is a small sacrifice for salvation, or a small price to pay for salvation. And this is how he sees things, is everything is a price to pay to get to where you're supposed to get. Like he doesn't expect the journey to be easy. He's willing to take the hits, like that Rocky quote. And he's so commendable, and that's why I'm saying like more men need to be like this, but obviously less of an extreme example.
Still, he accomplished his mission.
And straight away he was back to it. Still, he accomplished his mission. So he was more focused on the purpose. So he did, like, even though he died, he did what he had to do.
Regret that. He brought you face to face with the master of the mystic arts.
Where do you think he brought you?
Let me guess. Your home?
It was. And it was beautiful. Titan was like most planets. Too many mouths, not enough to go around. And when we faced extinction, I offered a solution.
Genocide.
But random.
And that's the scene I was talking about earlier, guys, when he spins it back, but random. Like, he was willing to kill 50% of the planet, but the way he spins it back and says, but random, and tries to justify the purpose of what he was trying to achieve. Like, he truly believes in what he wants to accomplish. And everyone else sees him as the villain, but he sees himself as the hero. So, like I said, it's very divisive when you're in this kind of scenario. But that relentless nature to keep pursuing what you believe in, what your dream is. Now, I'm not saying go out there and be Hitler, but what I'm saying is obviously yours is going to be on a less severe scenario or a less severe level. But sometimes you're going to have to stick to your ideas like concrete, because so many people along the way will question you. So many people will say, oh shit, it's never going to work. I had all of that, okay? It's a stupid idea. It's just a blog. Where's it going? They don't see the bigger picture. They don't, like, I see a streaming platform. I see a men's streaming platform making big budget movies, you know, like £100 million movies, and, you know, getting number one in the box office or whatever, but as a streaming platform, like getting the most views from a streaming platform. And other people saw it at the start as just a shitty blog. Like, they will tell you along the way to quit, go and get a job, okay? You're not making enough. Yeah, but the amount of times I got asked in the early days, the first 4 or 5 years, you making any money from it now? Or, yeah, but is it making any money? But that's the point. It's not making any money. It's shit. It's a waste of time. You're just fucking around. Like, everybody would say shit like this because they didn't understand that I didn't want to make money from it. I wanted to grow it. I wanted to build it. I was fine being broke. I was fine having no money. I was willing to take that hit. I was willing to take that sacrifice for a bigger purpose that I knew would come later down the line. Most people aren't willing to do that. They want the car now. They want the woman now. They want to show everyone around them that they're looking good and things are going well, okay? It's very hard to give up absolutely everything for your ultimate goal.
Dispassionate, fair to rich and poor alike. They called me a madman. And what I predicted came to pass.
And like you said at the end, they called me a madman, but what I predicted came to pass. You'll get that on your journey. You're trying to, let's say you want to make it to like the NFL, you want to be a professional MMA fighter or something. Everyone's like, oh, you're crazy. Do you know how many people sign up for that each year? Do you know how impossible it is? The odds are well against you. But when it finally comes to pass and you finally make it at the top, and people are looking back and going, oh, remember when I was your friend? It's like, no, you didn't have the faith along the way. You're not sticking around with me. Like, I had to drop you. I had to drop you because you called me a madman. You didn't quite understand the vision. You didn't see it. That is the villain's journey. You got to go alone. You're gonna upset everybody. That's what you're gonna do. You're gonna upset absolutely everybody around you because your vision is just so much bigger and stronger than anything they could ever imagine.
You kill and torture. And you call it mercy.
That's important there too. You kill and you murder and you call it mercy. So he has a different meaning for what he's doing. So I might say I'm driven. Other people will tell me I'm selfish. I might say something like I'm passionate about my work. Somebody else might say he's arrogant. It's all he ever talks about. I've had that in the past as well. He's arrogant. He always talks about himself. It's like, no, I'm so driven on my single purpose. I don't want to talk about anything else. And that's the kind of villain's journey, the divisiveness that you will face.
The universe has judged you. You failed. And do you want to know why? Because you love nothing. No one.
And that, again, that's the kind of dramatic conclusions that people draw. You love nothing. You love no one. You're self-obsessed. You're worried about yourself. They don't realize that maybe you're working this hard so that you can provide for others in the future. Like, without me doing what I'm doing now, all of us are going to be in poverty forever. A lot of family members don't understand that. Like, when you're not, like, one guy said to me before, my family are worried because I'm always up in my room. I'm never sat downstairs with them watching TV, getting involved with the family. And I was like, yeah, but when's your family future going to change? Like, who's going to change the future of your family? who's going to make the money for the family to change their history forever? Like, you've been in poverty for like 200 years. Like, who's going to change all of that? And it takes that one individual who's willing to give up everything and change the norms. But then what you get is people saying, oh, you know, you don't really fit in with the family. What's the matter with you? You're the outcast. You're the outlier. And it's like such a difficult scenario. And I see so many of you guys in the comments fighting with this same instinct of like, I want to be out with my friends. Like, I'm losing friends. I don't have a social life. My girlfriend hates me because I'm always working. My family, my mum, my dad are always complaining at me. They're telling me to go and get this degree, or they're telling me to go and join this dead-end job that I really don't want to do, but I've got a bigger purpose. It's like, this is what I'm saying, guys. You've got to be like Thanos. You've got to be willing to give all of that up. You've got to be willing to upset people. You've got to be willing to lose friends. You've got to be willing to lose family members even. You've got to be willing to lose what everybody calls the best years of their life. You know, you're 20 years old. Go out and enjoy yourself. Have fun. Like, I gave up all of that because I know that there's a bigger purpose at the end of it all.
Tears.
They're not for him.
No. This isn't love.
I ignored my destiny once. I cannot do that again.
And that's, I ignored my destiny once and I cannot do that again. That's something that a lot of us will come across too, where you're focused on a goal. Maybe you get in a relationship and you say, it'd be okay. And then you realize about 2 years in that you've dropped off. You haven't worked on your business for 4 months or something. You've been distracted, going out partying with friends, you know. You ignored your purpose and everything kind of fades away, okay? You realize that you were right all along. Like, everyone said you were wrong and you ended up listening to them. You gave into peer pressure and then you realize, shit, do you know what? Actually, I was right. It's the conclusion that Thanos is at now. He's so sure and arrogant of his own purpose because he's been proven right once before. Whether it was the wrong decision or whatever, he said something, everybody went against it, and he was proven right in his head. Very hard to convince somebody otherwise after that, once they've been shown to have been right. I do it with crypto. Like, sometimes I make a decision that I think will make money, I FOMO out of it because the experts are saying something different, and then I see that I was actually right. It makes you very, very arrogant on the next stage. You know, you're super bullish, you're proper locked in, you sort of feel like you're on your own journey and you're not listening to anybody now. And that's the stage that Thanos is out there. It's very interesting. That's exactly like real life when you say, I did this once before, I listened to everybody. Everybody's been there. I listened to everybody before and it led me nowhere. I realized all of you were wrong. I tell you when I get this feeling, sometimes I'm working so hard in this office and I'll sacrifice an entire weekend or whatever. And I'll get to like Sunday night and I'm like, or next Saturday, okay, like let's say I've worked all week. I get to the Saturday night and I'm like, I'm missing out on life. What am I doing? And I'll go for a walk, okay? And I'll see people getting drunk in their gardens. I'll see people watching television, you know, the same shit that they watch every night, every year, whatever. It's on fucking repeat. It's all like these talent shows and all this bollocks that means nothing once it's over. Or you see people getting drunk in town, whatnot, you know, just partying away, just sleeping with women, chasing women, they're properly wasting their youth, okay? Just chasing pussy. And you look at it all and you go, no, I'm right. I'm more secure in my ideas and my vision and my purpose than I ever was before, because now I see the truth. Everyone's telling me one thing, but no, it's not true. Like, look at all of you. All of you are miserable. All of you are unhappy. None of you are making the money you want to make. None of you are going anywhere in life. You're all just dragging each other down to a pit of mediocrity. And then you expect me to follow because it allows me to be popular and it allows me to fit in with the social norms. No, thank you. I'm going to go my separate way and I'm more focused than ever. That's exactly where Thanos is now.
I'm sorry, little one.
And there, the way he says, I'm sorry, little one. Like, he knows it's the wrong thing to do, but his purpose is bigger than this, what would be considered the sacrifice, okay? Which is, it's a literal sacrifice. You know, when he said earlier, a small price to pay for salvation, like, it's what you have to do along the way. Like, sometimes you don't want to leave that individual. You don't want to leave that area. You don't want to sell your car. You don't want to... Some guy messaged me earlier and said, I want to buy clothes. I'm in a dilemma. I don't want to look like a bum. I've been there, buddy. I've been there. is so hard. Like, I've been walking around with holes in my socks and shoes with no laces. I've been walking around in like the same t-shirts that no longer fit and jeans that are so worn down they become jeans with holes in them. And that's not on purpose. That's not a fashion thing. They're just old. Like, and when you see girls, they think you're a bum. When you see other guys, they think you're broke, but you're working on a bigger purpose. And it's like, you know, nobody understands where you're trying to head. Like, sometimes you got to give up this shit. You got to be, you are sorry. Like, you understand it. You appreciate how much it's going to hurt the other person or people around you, but you do it anyway. And that's tough, guys. That's tough. That's why so few people make it. And you got to be that selfish, unrelenting, just Thanos type person who's just got a goal in mind and they're not stopping no matter what. And you could see the anguish on his face there, like how difficult that was for him to pull off, like how tough it was to do what he had to do. And after that scene as well, he's in tears. And the next scene really describes how hard it was for him once he completes it.
Daughter?
Did you do it?
Yes.
There, you can see the regret on his face, okay? Now, a lot of people, when you become successful, you might not have the regret, but you might look back and think, what if? Like so many entrepreneurs say, if I had to do it again, I probably wouldn't. That's why it's such a weird life, okay? You only get one go around the merry-go-round, but who do you want to be? You want to be some average fuck? You just want to be some average bum? Or do you actually want to be somebody? You want to accomplish something? Because you're probably going to end up with these battle scars. It's not going to be all sunshine and rainbows. You're probably going to look back and think, God, I went through some tough shit to get to where I am today. Like, I look back at my last year and I just think, Jesus Christ, I don't know how that was only a year. I've lived like 7 lifetimes in that 1 year. It's like toughest year of my life, but you come out the other end of it and you just hold your head high and you say, I did what I had to do, and now, you know, we move on to stage 2 and it is what it is.
What did it cost?
Everything.
And that's the most important scene in this whole film, is he actually recognizes what it cost. You know, she asks, and what did it cost? And he, like, that 1,000-yard stare that he's got going on right now, that's a man who's been through a lot of shit. And he says everything. So you got to think he got banished from his home planet. He got called a madman, so he's like the pariah of the planet. Then his planet gets destroyed, so because he gave up on his purpose, okay. So then he's got the pain of dealing with that he could have saved at least 50% of people. So then he goes back on his purpose. He's been traveling around the galaxy collecting these stones, killing thousands of people, trying to find them and whatnot. He had to kill his daughter. He lost his 4 kind of henchmen that he was working with, which you would consider friends, you know, which are next to him. And he's kind of given his whole life's purpose to this singular goal. And then when somebody asks, what does it cost? He says everything. Like, he understands that. And that's why you get a lot of entrepreneurs that they're just higher level individuals, you know, or somebody who's accomplished a lot in a 9-to-5 job that's been to the top. And, you know, retiring, whatever, let's say at 60 years old, is just multi-millionaire, done everything, seen everything, like sacrificed weekends, etc. They're not the same, okay? They're not the same person. Like, they've been through, like, people when they come back from war, they're not the same. Like, they go a boy, they come back a man. Like, this is what I see in his face here, that kind of anguish of just, it's taken everything from me. Like, I'm still here and I can be proud of that, but it's literally taken everything from me. Like, it's not a shock that he's bald, okay? Like, I've got no hair because of the same fucking thing. Like, the amount of stress it puts you through. Like, I've given up hair, I've given up cars, I've given up clothes, I've given up mortgages, relationships, a dog. Like, I've given up location, I've given up nights out, alcohol, a good diet. Like, I've given up sleep at times. It's like, you're not the same person at the end. Like, this will sound massively arrogant, but I don't care. I see so much of myself in Thanos and his journey. So much, and that's why I had to make this video. Is like, I'm willing to make myself look bad if it leads to the best result, and that's exactly what I see in him. I'm willing to become the villain if it leads to the correct end purpose. I think I told you guys before about that end scene in the film Vice with Christian Bale, and it's about the Vice President Dick Cheney. The speech he says at the end is, it's a price to pay to keep all Americans safe at night. When you're at home in front of your TV with your kids, do you feel safe? He was like, and I was proud to serve you. Like, that's the price it was willing to pay. You know, if you wanna be liked, go and be a movie star. That's what he says. And
So, don't you care what the American people think?
No, I think you cannot be blown off course. I can feel your recriminations and your judgment, and I am fine with it. You want to be loved, you'll be a movie star. The world is as you find it. You got to deal with that reality, and there are monsters in this world. We saw 3,000 innocent people burned to death by those monsters, and yet you object when I refuse to kiss those monsters on the cheek and say, pretty please. You answer me this: what terrorist attack would you have let go forward so you wouldn't seem like a mean and nasty fella? I will not apologize for keeping your family safe. And I will not apologize for doing what needed to be done so that your loved ones can sleep peaceably at night. It has been my honor to be your servant. You chose me, and I did what you asked.
Great men don't worry about being liked. They don't worry about, satisfying those around them. They've got a singular purpose. They push forward with it no matter what. They're willing to become the villain, become the enemy. They're willing to take the hits to make sure, in a weird, strange, and roundabout way, that everyone else can actually benefit. It's very weird, right? And sometimes, people's purposes are actually wrong. Like, you see somebody like ISIS, for example, they think what they're doing is God's work. They think it's great and it will benefit everybody, but it's logical to see that they're wrong. But it makes you so dangerous when you believe everything that you're doing is correct, Man with a purpose and a drive, it's just, if you just truly believe that what you're doing is the right thing, even if everybody else doesn't, makes you so fucking dangerous. It's like, you've got no other option. You kind of have to. They want to, but you need to. Like, it's weird. It's really weird. And I see that on his face. This tells a million stories. This one picture, I could tell a million stories about his face in terms of body language right now, that 1,000-yard stare. But that's what you got to accept, guys. And the quicker people get this through their heads, they're in a boyish mentality, but they have to become men. And the quicker you get that through your head, that what's it gonna cost? Everything. But that's okay, because I knew it was going to cost everything. Like, you have to expect the shit. Then you'll be okay. Then you'll make it. Then you'll achieve whatever you want to achieve. But having some entitled mindset of believing that you can have everything at once, like that quote, you can have anything you want, but you can't have everything. You can, and the key to that is the hyphen. If you put it in between any one, you can have any one thing you want. You can have anything, that sort of thing. You can have anything you want, any one thing, but you can't have everything. Okay, guys? You can drive towards a singular purpose, but you want the singular purpose plus everything else that comes with it in life. It's not going to happen, okay? You need to be dialed in. You need to be a psychopath on your one single thing. Otherwise, it's not going to work. You be willing to give up everything. Be willing to make your life worse in order to for long-term gain. That's the hardest thing. You know, you got a nice car. You enjoy driving around. I'm going to give it up because that 2K right now for that car is worth more to me in 10 years' time. Do you see what I mean, guys? My rent, let's say it's 800 per month. You find one that's 400. When you bring girls back, they now think you're a bum instead of, oh, he's doing really well for himself. The sacrifice you got to pay for the short term, for the long term gain. Just be willing to do it, okay, guys? Be like Thanos. If you want to grab our men's lifestyle supplement and male advantage ebook, all links are in the bio.